My husband, Randy, and I have been together for 30 years. But during all those years, during all that time together, we've only been legally married since 2014. We had a 22-year engagement before an 8-year marriage. When I was elected as a member of Congress in 2012, my husband, Randy, couldn't have health insurance through this body. His spouse ID said companion on it. On the day the Supreme Court decided we had equality rights for marriage in this country, a bunch of us stood in front of the court and sang the national anthem. Because it's a beautiful thing when your country catches up to you. And every member of Congress will get to stand and be counted today, and you can choose between equality or discrimination.
Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney making his case beautifully today before the House vote on a bill that would protect same-sex marriage, enshrining it into federal law. The House will be voting on the bill at any moment. It is expected to pass. The vote comes after the Supreme Court stripped away the constitutional right to abortion and raised the specter publicly that other rights, unpopular only with the ultra-conservative extreme members of the court and country, could be taken away as well. This bill also includes federal protections for interracial marriages. It is unclear whether the bill can gain the 60 votes it needs to clear the Senate, which is in and of itself a shocking thing to say out loud. Joining us now, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney of New York, co-chair of the Congressional LGBTQ plus Equality Caucus. I only have two questions for you. You can take them in whatever order. How did we get here, and how do we get as far away as we can from this moment where what you said, discrimination, seems to be sort of having an equal hold against equality, at least in the building in which you work?
Right. Well, I think some of us could be accused of being overconfident that we had put this debate in the rearview mirror because we know our culture has changed so dramatically. We know that attitudes in the population have changed. I believe a majority of conservatives now support marriage equality. And remember, this bill also protects interracial marriage. So we're really going back even to Loving v. Virginia and issues we thought were long settled. And we're here because part of the Roe v. Wade decision, where the Supreme Court threw out 50 years of constitutional protection for American women, also included very dangerous language in Clarence Thomas's concurrence about all substantive due process cases. Now, for non-lawyers, that means all this other stuff, like marriage equality and birth control and even interracial marriage. The rights that have been rooted in a 50-year interpretation of the Due Process Clause, and that is radical. And so it's necessary that the federal government protect things like contraception, believe it or not. And we're doing that as well this week. But marriage equality, which now enjoys a super majority of support, is going to be put to a vote on the House floor. And I, for one, am very interested to see which Republicans will still stand in that doorway and prevent us from coming together around a basic issue like equality of our love and of our marriages.
It's an incredible reveal, if you will, of what the right stands for right now and how far out of the mainstream they are with the majority of Americans. Republicans have run on the court for years. How do Democrats run against it in the midterms and the next presidential and beyond?
Well, I think we should probably look at where we've been successful. And we were very successful in the coalition that we built for marriage equality in the first place. What did we talk about? We talked about love. We talked about love winning. We talked about the equality of our love. And ultimately, that debate is still the one we're having today, is are we going to discriminate against people who want to be with the person they love and be treated equally and fairly, whether it's a person of a different race or of the same sex, and whether politicians in Washington will decide things like whether women get to have an abortion or politicians in some state government get to make a decision. We think women should be making those decisions. We think Americans who love each other can get married and be treated equally. And we know that it's a better country because of it. And a majority of the country certainly believes that people of different races should be free to marry one another. And the idea that we're even talking about it is just a measure of the radical difference between the dark vision the MAGA Republican movement has for our country and the country so many of us have been trying to build for so long, even if imperfectly, even if in fits and starts. We believe we can all go forward together to a better country where everybody counts, everybody matters.
What do you say to kids who are seeing grown-ups relitigate something that had been settled, that had been accepted, that had represented progress?
Well, I'm going to say to anybody younger than me what John Lewis said to me when he said, after they overturned a key provision of the Voting Rights Act, John Lewis said to me right down there in the cloakroom, he said, I would not have imagined when I was standing next to LBJ in the Oval Office in August of 1965 that 48 years later we'd still be talking about voting rights. And he said, but we are. And it's going to be up to you and people younger than me to keep this fight going. So what I say to young people is we need you. Get engaged. And by the way, the kids are engaged. If you look at all the social justice movements, the kids are all right. We just had 1,000 kids come through something we call Democracy Summer that we put together at the DCCC with Jamie Raskin to get hundreds of kids involved in these races all around the country. The kids get it. It's the adults that need to listen to them.